For a long time, I thought being a YouTuber was something reserved for teenagers and 20 somethings. You know, high energy, perfect lighting, those fast, choppy edits and trendy music, and somebody who pretty much looks like they were born holding a camera. That's kind of what I thought it was like. But honestly, even when I dabbled in YouTube in my late 20s, I already felt like I was behind. Like maybe I had missed the window. And it wasn't that I really set out to be a YouTuber. It was just I saw it as a prospective medium and was hoping that it would be someplace I could share my story. But like I said, I already felt like I was behind. And so I just set it aside for a while. But then in my 30s, I circled back to it a little bit for myself and also for the church that I was going to at the time. And when I circled back, I really thought more about it. But then I kind of just let it go again. I never really stuck with it seriously. And I never fully had the thought, this could really be something for me. I would think more like, this is working well for other people, but it's probably not something for me. And it wasn't until really within the last year, like right before I turned 47, that something shifted. And I started seeing YouTube channels from people who were just getting started in their 40s and 50s and 60s and even their 80s. These people were not celebrities. They weren't influencers. They were just regular people like me and you with real lives and real stories and real voices. And that's when it finally hit me. YouTube doesn't belong to any age group. It doesn't belong to any one type of person. And it definitely does not belong only to the young or the trendy or the people who are super tech savvy. It's just not that way anymore. Now, to be fully transparent with you, age was not the only thing that made me hesitate about getting on YouTube and maybe taking it more seriously. There were two other really big questions that I wrestled with. First, I have a very obvious and fairly extensive physical disability. I have a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, was born with it, got my first wheelchair when I was 2 years old, and have never walked. So it's not like something I can hide. I don't really want to. It's not that. But I just wondered, would people lose interest in someone whose life might not look like the most active or entertaining, you know? Would they be uncomfortable with my life because it makes them uncomfortable? Or would it make them feel pity because I didn't want that either? I just wanted to share my life experience. So would that reality of my life limit what I could do here? The second thing that I really hesitated about getting into YouTube about, and in retrospect, this was just probably pretty ridiculous on my part, but I'm very open and very serious about my faith as a follower of Jesus Christ. And I wondered, would that turn people away? And would that make my channel, too niche or too polarizing? Because I didn't want to cause division. But then, like I said, I just realized that's kind of ridiculous. Didn't Jesus tell us to share what he had done for us? Maybe you're like me and you're watching this and you're thinking, well, I'm not flashy enough, or I don't fit neatly into one category, or I don't look or sound like the creators that I see blowing up in popularity. I don't have the right background. I don't know how to edit videos. A million things could be going through your mind. But here's the truth that finally changed everything for me. I was seeing those things as obstacles. I saw those things as things that might be too different. But I realized that I was looking at it through completely the wrong lens. I was seeing them as obstacles, but what they really are parts of my testimony. And my guess is that if you're listening this closely and you're still with me in the video at this point, those things are probably a part of your testimony too. So let's talk about the beautiful thing about YouTube. YouTube completely levels the playing field. And here's what it does better than almost any other platform. It rewards authenticity over perfection. People would rather see you with all of your flaws than to see somebody who's perfect, because perfect people scare us. They make us feel like we can never attain perfection. But when we see somebody who, like me, looks like they just rolled off the Hot Mess Express, then I can watch those people because I feel like maybe they get me and I know I get them. And hopefully by sharing my story, that would help other people too. YouTube also creates space for long form and short form meaningful stories. And the reason this is important, and we'll get into this some in future videos, but the reason this is important is that some people prefer long form. They want to sit and they want to watch your story on their phone or their computer. And I think it's really cool that they can watch it on the TV now. So they can sit there and actually absorb your story. But for people who are more into the fast-paced, mobile types of experiences, that's why short form is good as well. So we'll talk about, again, those in the future, but not today. So YouTube also connects people based on shared experience, not on trends. I mean, it does connect people over trends as well, but it seems that by far the biggest connector is shared experience. And no matter your age or your ability or how non-typical you think you are, you have something every single person on this platform has in common. You have a testimony. You have a story of something that you've been through, a story of where you've been, what you're learning in the process. You've got a story of what God carried you through. And somewhere out there in YouTube land is somebody who needs your story told in your voice like nobody else can. It may not be polished, and that's okay. It might not be perfect. Good. None of us are. It just has to be faithful to your story. And that's why YouTube is such a powerful platform for ordinary people like us. Now, if you've been doing the math, you know I'm now in my late 40s. So if you're middle-aged, if you don't fit the stereotype, and if you're wondering whether it's too late to get involved in YouTube, here are 4 things I want you to know and to do as you begin. And yes, I want you to begin. The first thing is super simple, and that's just start where you are, not where you think you should be. I am a university teacher as well. That's my quote-unquote day job and has been for over 25 years now. And I remember a student coming to me years ago on the first day of class. She brought the syllabus to my office and she was almost in tears. And she said, as she was looking at the schedule of assignments over the next 17 weeks, she said, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. And I don't remember my exact words, but knowing me, it was probably something like, well, good, because if you did, you shouldn't be in this class, you know? And I proceeded to tell her not to worry about it because week by week, assignment by assignment, lesson by lesson, she would start to gain those skills. So she was looking all the way at the end of the course from the beginning, and that was overwhelming. But when she began to take it lesson by lesson, she excelled. So that's what I want you to do. Start where you are, not where you think you should be. You can't look at a YouTube creator who has been on YouTube for years and feel like you've got to be where they are. That's just not reality for any of us. So what you do need to do, though, is to think about where you are right now. You don't need a fancy camera. If you have a cell phone with a decent camera and microphone built in, you're great. You don't need a perfect studio. You don't need advanced video editing skills. What you do need is clarity and consistency. You need to know what you want to say, and you just need to be consistent with saying it. Some of the most impactful channels, is that a word? Impactful? Impacting? I don't know. Anyway, some of those channels are filmed on phones. They're filmed at kitchen tables. They're filmed sitting outside on the porch. They're filmed in their car. And with super simple setups, maybe just, a phone holder and the phone. Maybe some people might have a clip-on microphone. But if you're looking for one simple tool that really helps basic beginners like we are, just a tripod with a phone mount is a place to begin. If you feel like you need a piece of equipment, get your most basic tripod. You could get a small lapel microphone that could, make a difference in the audio quality or to help you cut out any background sound if you think that might be an issue. But if you're not in a place where you can do those things yet, Just start where you are. I'll link a couple of my favorite beginner-friendly options in the description for your convenience, so take a look at that. But just remember, start simple and just improve as you go. All right, so the second thing I want you to do is to let your life experience do the heavy lifting. Let your life experience do the heavy lifting. See, here's the thing. If you're feeling intimidated by younger creators, and I want to be super clear about this, I'm not bashing younger creators. I get so energized by watching them, but I watch them for different reasons. I watch them for motivation and for fun and for entertainment, but I can't be those things. I'm never going to be 20 again, and I'm okay with that. I've been there, done that, got a whole bunch of t-shirts to prove it. But here's what younger creators don't always have yet. They will, but they don't yet. And that's perspective. See, you've lived, if you're middle age, you've lived a while. You've lost things and maybe you lost people. You've learned some lessons the hard way. And you've seen God be faithful over decades, not just over, the last couple of years or so. You've seen God be faithful over decades. That's not a weakness. That's your edge. And so don't try to sound younger. Don't try to be them. And don't chase trends that don't fit who you are. Let the wisdom of your age speak. All right, the third thing is to choose sustainability over virality. Everybody wants the viral video. But the truth is, you don't have to post every single day. You don't need to burn yourself out. If you do, you won't stick with this. So you don't need to post every day. You don't need to burn yourself out. Instead, ask yourself questions like this. Can I do this once a week and be okay with it? Can I show up consistently that one time a week? Can I speak honestly and like myself? See, what YouTube does is it rewards steady faithfulness. Not so much frantic effort. If you upload 12 videos in one day and then you don't upload anything else for 6 months, YouTube is probably not going to reward that as well. You need steady pace, steady faithfulness. And that, quite honestly, is something many of us are really good at by this stage of life. My former pastor, before he retired, used to tell this story. He said, I don't remember every supper that my wife has cooked over the years, but I'm still here, so I know I ate well. So we don't have to have like the perfect Instagram-worthy meal for every supper. We just have to have sustainability. And the same thing is true with YouTube. You don't have to have the perfect, hitting viral video every time you post. You just have to have consistency. All right, so number 4. Remember that obedience is the win. Obedience is the win. This one matters deeply to me. Success on YouTube is not just the numbers game. It's really obedience. If God has placed a message on your heart for you to share with the world, then you have one and only one job, and that's to share it. It's to be obedient to the message that He's placed before you. What happens after that? I don't know. You don't have to know. The cool thing is that part is not on you. You're just responsible for sharing the story. What He does with it is His business. So your story doesn't have to reach everyone. It just has to reach the right someone. And the Holy Spirit is really good at getting it to the right person. All right, so let's try to get this thing closed up. If you've ever thought, I'm too old to start, or I don't fit the mold, or my story is too different, or maybe my story is not different enough, I want you to hear this clearly. YouTube was made for people just like you. People with depth and people who have lived out their faith. People with testimonies that can't be summed up in a 15-second elevator pitch. If this encourages you, please like this video, subscribe to this channel and share it with somebody who's been on the fence maybe about starting their own testimony journey. And just remember this, that this channel exists to help you find your place and your voice and how to share your testimony and just walk boldly into what God has placed on your heart. If this video is any indication, the fact that you're still here, you're hanging on, it is not too late for you. It is that you are not disqualified from this endeavor, if you will, and your testimony matters more than you know, and it needs to be shared with someone. So until next time, keep sharing your story.